Hello and welcome. This is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program. And today's fly is the polywinged midge. This is part 2 of our January 2025 fly. This year we elected that we're going to try to do 2 flies a month for our participants. And we're going to see how it goes. The materials used for this fly is a Daiichi number 1190 dry fly hook, size 14. The thread is Veevus black 14-aught. We're using polypropylene yarn for the wing, color white. We're using Antron yarn, color black, for the body. Let's get started. I guess it helps if you have your hooks ready to go, but we're ready to go. Put your hook in your vise, nice and secure. Not too far on the edge. I like to put it as close as I can without it springing out. If you watched the last video of the partridge and orange, that was part 1 of this month's fly. You saw me spring it across the room, and sure enough, I couldn't find it. I'm going to end up stepping on it later, but it is what it is. I guess that's the struggles and pains with fly tying. So first, what we want to do is we want to start the thread about 1 eye length behind the eye and bring it all the way down to the bend of the hook. And where we want to stop it, well, let's cut the tag off first. Is we want to stop it around the barb of the hook. These hooks are barbless, so we're just going to guess about where the barb would be. So that looks about right. Next, what we want to do is we want to grab our Antron yarn, and we want to pinch it in our fingers, and we want to cut it to where it's absolutely, well, it's flush. So we can tie it in into the shank of the hook. And that seems like it's going to be alright. So let's grab it and secure it to the shank as best we can. Make sure we're still to the back. And this is a good way to actually secure it. Bring it back a couple wraps and then bring it forward, and then tight wraps to where you can enclose all those fibers onto the shank of the hook and get a gradual body back towards the starting point. So now that we're there, what we want to do is we want to grab our Antron yarn, and we are going to bring it around the hook point, and we want to stretch it. It tends to want to bubble on you, but you can just grab these fibers, bring them around the point, and stretch them, and then they'll get closed down, and the bubbles of the yarn will get out of the way. So just keep on wrapping. You can use your fingertip to secure it on top, and we just want to bring it up to our starting point and then secure it, and put a couple wraps in it forward and back to make sure it's cinched down on it. Okay, cinched down onto the shank, and then we want to cut it as close as we can without cutting our thread or the yarn that's on the shank. So here we can come up and put a couple threads all the way to the eye of the hook, and this is where we're going to put in our wing. So, and again, what we want to do is we want to get our yarn, and we just want to get through here and make sure it's nice and flush to where we can tie it in. Okay, and we want to pinch, and then, whoops, get it back to where we want it. Alright. and get it cinched to the top. We put 2 wraps in it to make sure it's good. Make sure we got enough room for the head and the hackle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sink it in. And we want to be pretty tight on this. We don't want to be so tight where we're breaking the thread. But we want to have several wraps that's really sinking that down to the hook shank. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to trim. And I guess if I would have left a little bit more, but let's see if we can get it here without cutting our thread and making a mess of everything. Whoops. One more, I think I got it. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to take our thread and wrap over any of this exposed yarn. Okay, and it looks good. So now we want to bring it back to where our wings start, and we're going to grab our peacock, not peacock, but our cock hackle. We're going to take the bottom and strip it. All that fur, we don't need that. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to kind of judge and see how much we want coming off. So that looks a little bit much. So I'm going to strip a little bit more down on the feather without breaking the stem. There we go. And that looks pretty good right there. So now what we're going to do is we'll tie this in. And bring it down quite a bit, because we want this to be very secure. If it's not, then it's going to pull out on us when we're wrapping it, and then you got to start over. Trust me, I've done it several times. So now I'm going to come back and I see where my stem is exposed, and I'm just going to build up that head just a little bit. Alright. So now I'm going to grab my favorite tool, my hackle pliers, and I'm going to secure the back of the feather. And now what we're going to do, once you get it secure, we're just going to wrap it around. And 2 to 3 wraps, depending on how much hackle you want to put and how much feather you got. Because it looks like I've got about 1 more wrap on this and it's about done. And so now I'm going to bring my thread back. So okay, it looks like we're good to go. Get up here and cut this, and what you want to be very careful of cutting the feather out, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to cut all the fibers underneath of trying to get the stem out. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of push it back a little bit, grab our thread, and bring it back to the eye of the hook. And I see where I need a little more build up, but I'm going to do that with the whip finishes. Four, and you know, everybody knows I like to do 2 sets of 4. Tighten that down a little bit, or you can just do 1 set of 4 and then throw some Sally Hansen on it, or UV, your preference. But I tend to like to do 2 and do the Sally Hansen or the UV. I won't be doing it for this video, but you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. So now what we want to do is we want to cut our wings to size, and essentially what we're doing is we're just going to measure it around the tail, and we're going to grab it. Measure it around the tail. We want to cut in an angle there, and then kind of push it in. And that tail could be a little bit longer, but it looks like it's pretty good. And there we are for the Poly-Winged Midge. This is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program. And we appreciate you watching the videos. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section. The material list will be below in the comment section as well. We appreciate you watching. Happy holidays. Hope your new year is as successful as hopefully is ours. Thank you very much.